As we understand this Manasik Sambhashana and try to find temporary and permanent mechanisms to be freed from the throes of this Manasik Sambhashana, right? Because it's compulsive. So the answer does not lie in the mind. The answer lies here. Swami has clearly explained that this prajna, which is what he has named for our easy consumption as constant integrated awareness, if you are able to connect with prajna, then you are automatically released from manasik sambhashana. And think about Bhagwan, think about Swami. He was facing, one day when the hospital project was going strong, he came out, he used to chat with us. He told me told me personally this. He said, I'm very happy today. I just, we don't say anything to Swami, we don't know what's going to come next. Just looking up at him. He said, today I have placed Prashanti Nilayam on complete mortgage. I said, how can that be a matter to be happy about? These are Swami's exact words. Chala anandam, chala santosham. Telusa endugu, you know why? I have put Prashanti Nilayam on mortgage. This was the time at which the water project was about to happen. And Swami never solicited funds. I have seen Swami has called me inside interview room, open up envelopes, you see the checks that are coming and he's torn those checks. Oh my God, these are many, many zeros. You don't want to tear these checks which are like so many crores of rupees, right? So Swami demonstrated that, and the point about this Manasika Sambhashana is that all these great masters, and of course Bhagwan is not a great master, Bhagwan is avatar, right? We don't even know how to compare these beings. But why did nothing stick on Swami? Why did nothing pain him? Why did nothing trap him as it traps us, right? Let's say you have a really great relationship and then you have a divorce. Or you interview for a great job, you get it. And after you get it, your boss leaves. Why do these deflation things always keep happening to us? And why do they stick on us? Why do they continue to hurt us? Why do we dwell on those memories? And take a leaf out of Swami's life. Swami gave so much to so many people, but the press criticized him. The media, these are things which you don't know, and you have to invite me for 3 retreats if you want me to finish up all that I know. Just kidding. No, there are many nice speakers to invite to, and you get different perspectives. I tell you this. When I joined the hospital, we started the cardiac setup first. That's like a Ramayana, our journey, how we worked with Swami and how Swami worked with people on setting up the cardiac surgery department, and then how the urology department was the next to be started. And I still say I'm still a part of that, right? 75 renal transplants were done. You don't know, you are all sitting here in US and we are just looking after ourselves. After doing 75 transplants, you know what was written about Swami and the hospital? That they are making money, they are taking out kidneys, all rubbish. And see, when this cutting from the newspaper was shown to Swami, you know what he said? See, these are not thought responses, these are not learned responses. He said, Vaad pani ide, na pani idi. This is their work, this is my work. My work is to give. And I know how to take criticism. This is my work. I don't care. You see, this is their work. Their work is to criticize. How will the media make any money? It wants to write some spicy articles. They don't want to inquire. Hey, this Sai Baba, who is doing this cardiac surgery, which is so expensive. Each oxygenator cost $3,000. Heart valves, we were putting St. Jude's heart valves. Each heart valve is $3,300. One day I went to Brindavan. We had finished a major surgery. And see, I didn't have chance to tell Swami anything. Swami spoke, and I have a picture of that if I can ever get to it. But he saw me in the audience, and he said, "Come on up." He had finished his discourse. He sang the bhajan, and he said, "Tell what happened in the hospital this week." I was like, "What happened in the hospital this week?" And then it struck me. So what had happened is a patient had developed uh, a lung disease, a lung problem due to the being on the heart lung machine for a long time, and he needed what are called inhalational antibiotics. Now this is way back, right, 94, 95, and inhalational antibiotics were not that commonly available in India. And think about Puttaparthi, where it is, right? So we had contacted so many people in the US, and that antibiotics had been shipped, and the patient got it and recovered. But then he went into what is called DIC, or differentiated intermittent clotting. So, which means that the patient starts to bleed from everywhere in the body, skin everywhere. And now this was a surgical case. So we have to do everything to prevent him from being lost, right? So 23 units of blood were donated and transfused to that patient. 23 units. And see, we don't even think that this is free and how it is happening today. So after all this, so that's what Swami asked me, just to recount what I had seen and been a part of, right? So I said all that, and Swami was listening so carefully, like he's like a child. He's the one who's running this whole program, but he wants others to know, and that is of course only the devotee audience, right? So then the trust members went back to Swami and said, "Swami, the expenses of the hospital are going up so much." And Swami used to joke with us and say, every time Apparao comes, Apparao was our CFO, Chief Financial Officer. Every time Apparao comes, in those days, Swami had to sign the check physically. So month end, they would go to Swami, they would submit surgeries done, doctors hired or doctors left or whatever. They would give an update, and then they would give Swami the bill for oxygen, drugs, medication, supplies, all that. So Swami had to sign a single check. So Swami used to joke with us, every time Apparao comes to take a check for your cardiac unit, I start to get a heart attack. These are his own words. Because you are doing heart treatment there, but who's looking after my heart, right? The numbers were astronomical. Go to think about it. Every year, I was there for 14 years. There's not one year where we didn't do 1,000 heart surgeries a year. And the funny thing is, we really need to be educated. So in 93, through Mr. Rajiv Mahajan and others, they arranged an international cardiac symposium in Parthi. And very big names from the US came there. I was one of the people who were helping in communicating with the doctors in the US and welcoming them, seeing that they are put up in proper accommodation, and then, bringing them to the venue. Many of them Swami spoke to. And there are so many stories around those interactions that Swami had there. But when I got to interact with these great cardiac surgeons whose the procedures in cardiac surgery are named after them. So many of them. So, I was a clinical perfusionist, right? I ran the heart-lung machine. I myself helped with 6,500 or so operations, cardiac operations. So I knew a lot about this subject, and I was curious. I had read about these great surgeons, so I would ask them, "So how many cardiac surgeries do you do?" And say, "Oh, we do quite a lot." I said, "But how many?" Say, "We do about 150 a year." So I said, "This can't be right. Swami's hospital is free and we're doing 1,000 surgeries a year." So I asked 3, 4 of them, And all their answers were in that ballpark of 150, 200 surgeries. I said, look at this. So these are the things, brothers and sisters, which you and I as devotees don't know about our own mission, our own projects, right? And why is that the case? Because Swami never felt that it is his job to advertise all this, right? He is very self-contained. So when some of the costs were becoming very high, the trust members recommended to Swami that, Swami, why don't we start charging some registration fee, some laboratory fee, some token fee, so we'll, the coffers of the trust were getting empty. This was like a huge outflow of money, and it's relentless, right? It's, you can't stop the surgeries. You'll get a very bad name. This press is just waiting to malign us. But Swami said, see, Swami's response was so comic. He said, what will that 2 and 3 rupees or 10 rupees or 50 rupees that you charge for registration, how is it going to help me with the crores of rupees that I'm spending, right? So, and he said, then they said, Swami, can we do some advertisement? Can we put on television networks, that Satyasai hospital does so many surgeries and all? He said, not at all. And he was totally against that idea. And see what impact it had on people like me who were idealistic. We were idealistic about Swami, right? But we didn't know that this is how he responds to these things, and this is the personality of God. You see, you understand, right? What is the personality of God? Personality of God is that he is totally against prachar in this way, preaching about what good work he is doing and all of that. So anyway, coming back to this and concluding the topic of Sambhashana, see, why was Swami involved in so many activities, having so much outflow of funds, so many challenges in staffing the organization, but why was he never touched and still giving bliss and ananda and raising everybody's consciousness? How did it happen? It is because he never operated from the level of the body and the mind. When anything happened to him, it's not like he didn't create. He never existed in our dimension where something happens, it triggers Sambhashana. For him, something would happen. Lots of negative things happened to Baba. But it would stop there. It was not allowed to create Sambhashana. And that's how I imagine the value of what we are trying to do, right? So this is not a small effort. I got a lot of questions, a lot of interest. And don't imagine that you're going to get the answer to Manasika Sambhashana today or tomorrow or in the next year. Sorry, that is a wrong expectation. Learning about this teaching, this sacred and mystic teaching of Swami, very sincerely, if you take this and internalize it and watch your mind, Swami will help you to find that prajna that he is talking about. This prajna, when we experience that prajna, and I feel we have all experienced this prajna many times due to the sacredness of our interactions with Swami. We have experienced it, but we have ignored it, or we have rejected it, or we have got distracted again. So I want to conclude this whole discussion with these 2-3 thoughts. One is, it is very important as the next step of our sadhana. And I do feel that we have not given enough importance to meditation as an organization. We give a lot of importance to study circle, bhajan, Nagar Sankirtan, Vedam, Rudram is a big movement. I feel if we give more importance to meditation, also along with these things, our inner self-discovery will start to happen. And this is the sort of conclusion on what Swami has said, but these are resources you can access. Okay, so that is that. And now let me bring you back to something lighter. I'm not taking you to Elephant Land, but yeah, that is dear Sai Gita, who was, Sai Gita would walk amongst us as students. We saw her. We didn't touch her very often, but we were around her quite a bit. She had a little problem with her feet, so Swami had ordered that she should walk in the Hillview Stadium. So when we were playing the band instruments and practicing, she would be taken on a round. So in the early years, when we had just picked up our instruments, we would just say, let's see, Sai Gita, is she really all that spiritual as Swami makes out? Swami used to say, she is my best devotee. I say, seriously? So we used to go near her and just play on our trumpet or clarinet. She would like wake up and suddenly start trumpeting and all that. And so many times the kids would, when they had learnt a bhajan on the brass instruments, they would go and play in front of her and then she would respond. So that just told us that, this is really a different sort of elephant. The other experience I had with Sai Gita was that, sometimes when Swami was returning to Prashanti Nilayam from Brindavan, right, it would be cause so much heartbreak for us, right, when he left Parthi and went to Brindavan. And then when he would come back, we would all rush out from the hostel to welcome him. We were not allowed to go to the mandir, which was about 1 kilometer away. We'd rush out from the hostel and stand outside the hostel gate. And right opposite our hostel gate was Sai Gita's shed. We called it a shed. That was a residence. So our warden used to get messages from Bagepalli and other places. As Swami is passing, we would get messages. But what we noticed with Sai Gita is that many kilometers away, when Swami was many kilometers away itself, she would start trumpeting. So in the first few years, we thought, oh, Sai Gita's come, Sai Gita's trumpeting. So we would all, come forward and stand like this, thinking that, oh, Swami is going to come. Slowly we understood that her connection with Swami is so deep. He is not close by, he is many kilometers away. So these are just some anecdotes for you, just to cover a little bit of my own journey with Swami. So what Swami did, and now in hindsight I can understand, right, is that he used many different tools to create that spaciousness in our mind, in our hearts, right? One was like I overdid it, right? How Swami waved his hands and how we were transfixed, right? That should give you a clue that, yeah, it is not just mesmerizing us and, yeah, it is divinity and how beautiful Swami is. Think about the impact of what he did, but what is the impact on us? That is what will give you clues, right? Praising Swami is so beautiful and all that is fine. What is the impact it had on stilling our mind, right? So that is one such thing he did for me there. I spoke in Brindavan, Swami had asked me to speak. So right, how Swami would call you to speak. So Swami is sitting there, you're doing bhajan, he'll do like this. You saw what I did? Ante, that's all. You were in seventh heaven, clapping, enjoying bhajan, gone. Thud. You land with the thud, your bhajan, joy, everything gone. Because what does that mean? You're on next. You're on next. Hey Baba, I don't have any points to say. I don't know any miracles to recount. I don't want to speak, Swami. So that day, I don't know, something good for me. I got up and I said, And this stands out in your memory, right? It's so long back, but I said, just like Swami has told us 4 Ds, 3 Ps, and all that, here are my 4 Cs. And I said something: clarity, character, courage, and something. So when I said that, and I explained each of these, and I said how they, one thing leads to the other. To my great amazement and joy and my gratitude to Swami, Swami applauded. And the audience hadn't yet got it. Swami applauded. Swami was sitting at the side like that. And Swami applauded. And then what he did, after the Aarti, he called me and he told me, walk behind me. So all the bigger people, right, like the trust members and all, they had that privilege to walk behind Swami. So anyway, Swami's wish, I just walked behind him. Now what he did, he suddenly turned around and he asked me, who are you? Said, what? He's suddenly forgotten who I am? He knows me as a short form for me. He says Mari, he says Mariwala. What is this? And then luckily it struck me that obviously Swami is not asking the question at that level, right? Because we have this habit of making everything into a physical thing, right? Like I was telling, we think only physical. Swami is asking, who are you? And I don't think my answer satisfied him, but I just went on my knees, and the best answer I could muster without being too philosophical, right? Say, Swami, I am Atma. He'll say, you're Donga, you're not Atma. Donga means you're a thief, right? That would have been too much. So in between giving a physical answer and an Atmic answer, I said, the best, see, you have to do quick thinking. So I said, Swami, I am your son. See, that is safe, right? Swami cannot say, you are not my son, right? And it's not too philosophical. So Swami liked it, and he nicely patted me, and I also got a picture in the bargain. This is a picture of me being blessed by Bhagwan with the gold medal. This was after I finished my MBA and I joined the hospital. So can you believe what is the conversation going on? The gold medal and all is past. That is for MBA. Now there's a new chapter begun, right? That new chapter was the hospital. And incidentally, see the beauty of these memories, right? This was the day one of the hospital starting. And we did 4 cardiac surgeries on day one. And many big hospitals started in Delhi. In fact, I know for a fact, even Escorts Hospital, a very well-known hospital in Delhi, for 1 month, they did 1 surgery a day to stabilize. On day one, 1991, 1992, sorry, we did 4 surgeries on the same day. So it's an incredible achievement. And what Swami is asking me is, surgeries etla enaira, how did the surgeries go? And so that is the conversation going on at that time. Okay, this is another fun thing. The pictures have become small. So Swami took us to Chennai for our MBA tour. You know, when you do your MBA, you have to go and, have a first-hand understanding of the industrial setting. So we went around Chennai, and what happened is, and try to don't get over concerned about the details. See how it applies to us, right? That's why for this I've given the title Yearning for the Lord. So we were staying, Swami was staying in Sundaram. How many of you know Sundaram in Chennai? Oh, many hands, many hands. So we were too many boys. So we were put up in V. Srinivasan's guest house. And we had to go, after our industrial visits, go to see Swami. Swami was giving darshan in a place called Abbotsbury. Huge ground. But what was happening? By the time our industrial visits got over and we got into the bus and the bus drove through Chennai traffic, every time we entered Abbotsbury, we would hear the Aarti bells. Om Jai Jagadish. Who wants to go here? And to make it worse, all the people in Parthi were calling us up and telling, hey, you guys are so lucky, man. Swami took you to Chennai. Oh, what's happening? What's happening? What is Swami saying? And my parents wrote me a letter. Please share what Swami is telling. And here we are not seeing Swami even. No interaction. So what happened is, see, this is how it sometimes builds up. And it's a very personal story. But when we got into the bus, I felt so angry. Of course, I was a young guy. I felt so angry. I just shook the bus arm rest, And I don't know how our yearning gets communicated with Bhagwan. But when I got down from the bus, we were going to Sundaram because I was sure we'll not be able to see Swami again. When I got down from the bus, Swami was standing behind the door. And the moment he saw me coming down, he said, hey, Mari Itra. And he materialized Vibhuti, gave me, and he took me by the hand. There is a beautiful statue of Shirdi Baba right there in Sundaram. And they had put a golden crown for that. So Swami took me there by the hand and said, Emti Dira? And I said, Swami, golden kiritam. Ah, very good, very good. He just wanted to talk and give, blessings. So the way I took it, of course, you don't have to tear the bus seat and all that. You don't have to get so angry. But that yearning, right? That yearning for Swami. See, you all have to understand this in perspective. When we got the chance to be so close to Swami, right? Too much familiarity, right? Is a problem. You don't value the thing as you should be valuing. And by then, I had already spent 9 full years in Parthi. So many interactions with Swami. So what the message that I took, my own takeaway was that how much ever time you are with such a sweet and great Lord, don't let the delusion and the familiarity create a wall between you and Swami. And as I was thinking about this, when we returned from Chennai to Vrindavan, Swami asked each of us to take a picture with him. And that yearning in my heart to spend time with Swami, to talk with Swami, to be with Swami was so strong. At that moment when my turn came, there was a huge cloud above us. And you can see what happened. So it became so dark there, and there were 7 cameras. 7 cameras were there. All the camera guys suddenly said our cameras are not working, and they ran to the hostel close by to get a battery to switch the battery around. So during that time, I got you can see Swami in the middle, like a private interview with Swami in public. Right? So he's talking with me, chatting with me, asked me all sorts of questions. Which subjects you're doing well in MBA? What is your plan now? Are you willing to stay longer with me and work in the house? So many conversations happened at that time while these 7 photographers were befuddled and didn't know why all their flashes failed at the same time. So for me, the learning was that if you pine for Swami, if your bhakti is genuine, and that is the theme of our retreat, right? Devotion to Satya Sai. So why did I not talk about experiencing divine life? Because we are not going to be able to experience divine life until our devotion comes to the point where it can. Swami used to tell us this very often. Your devotion should be such. He said, my heart is soft. My heart is very soft. But your devotion is not even able to melt my soft heart. So we should stop patting ourselves on the back. I spent 23 years, I got 3 gold medals. Sorry. All that doesn't work with Sai Baba. Sai Baba looks for the purity of your heart. If a soft heart of Sai you can melt, that is what we should be focusing on. So this, it's a very personal incident and it's a very memorable thing for me, that how Swami responds to, I didn't tell this to any other student that I was with, but I was inside, my heart was aching. Like I told you, right? And others were putting a little bit salt on the wound, right? You're so close to Swami, what's happening? And all. Where is Swami? We're not even able to see him. Even ordinary devotees are able to see him. And that, I took it, that Swami's response was so beautiful. Okay, so I'm just going to move on a little bit. Like I told you, you're doing an MBA course, right? And I have a syllabus to cover. So I covered a little bit of those interactions. This is the wonder and beauty of Kodaikanal, right? So we were so blessed to be there for, I think it was 32, 33 days with Swami. And I'm sure other speakers have told you about this. It's not a mystery. I actually put the Kodai video on my computer, but it's obviously I cannot share it with you, give it to you, but maybe after the session I can show you a few glimpses of that. It is beautiful. And so you can see, right, these are pictures from other Kodai trips also, but here you can see how Swami used to come around. This was how we used to eat. There was very little space between the tables, and Swami's sitting here, it's a little bit dull, but Swami used to walk around and, of course, needless to say, there were maybe 30 items that we were served with. So we really enjoyed our breakfast, lunch, dinner. But the highlight of the trip was that we would get to spend about 9 hours in Swami's direct presence every day. And he would come down, so we would go up to his room. The moment he came out of his room, he would see us. So when you go to think about it, right, see which other personality is there in the world who has such a lack of privacy. Isn't it? Right? He had a small room. He would open the room and we would be sitting there. We were 50 boys. And Indian houses and all are not like our US big houses. So 50 boys crowded there and spilling over onto the steps. And so there was no privacy, but that is what he loved, right? He loved giving of himself. And then we would sit down for a few minutes. See, Swami in the early morning is very different, right? See his face glowing, and he would just look at the posts that had come and make some casual comments. Somebody's birthday, he would bless them. And then he would say, Legandi. Legandi means get up. And we would go for the breakfast. Then he would come around, see us eating. Then we would again come and sit. Then when we were sitting, he would say, today you all ate 2 heavy breakfasts, come on, go for a walk. So it was about a 2.5 kilometer walk around the Kodai lake. So we would go and finish that walk. And in the evening, he would give a discourse outside. And then he would come back in and give another discourse inside. So we had all in all about 9 hours interaction with Swami, and then lunch and dinner, of course. And these are just some nice pictures of, he would send us to buy gifts for our parents, and then he would take them and wear them himself, right? So you can imagine, if you brought that bracelet for your mom and it is costing say 100 rupees, now it is costing, 50 million, right? Just kidding. I'm just saying it's priceless, but look at your bracelet went on Swami's wrist, seriously. And that's how he would eat this. Over here, he's eating corn. He would eat a lot of corn, and he would never sort of put the whole spoon in. He would toss it in. And then this is a picture with my classmates, Patle and Kishan Babu. and he's materializing. He materialized a very strange object for Dilip. Uh, so in Kodai, obviously, we saw a lot of different materializations, right? And that's one of them. Now, there's a beautiful story about this, but like that, there are hundreds of stories, right? So here, what happened is he gave a lovely discourse on Sri Rama, and when it came to the point about Mother Sita giving a gift to Hanuman, she gave him that gift. And then he said, do you want to really see the bite marks of Hanuman's teeth on the pearls? So who will say no? So we were all clamoring, and he said, yes, 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 Swami. And Swami said, okay, but you have video cameras, you have cameras, and you have to stop. Promise me you will stop. And we said, yes. And we kept the cameras down, but one video camera owner took this. So Swami was very upset. He was very upset. He said, I told you don't take. I'm showing you something rare and exceptional, but I requested you, you agreed, and you still took it. So what he did is, he took that guy's video camera up to his room. For 4 days, that video camera was in his room. So he said, instead of punishing him, he gave you another gift. He kept the camera in his room for 4 days. So that's a blessed camera. But that is when he told us not to take pictures of him wearing it. I'm sorry. Not about him materializing it. But he put it on himself. So that's a really rare picture. What is it? What is the gift that... So a number of... Rama was rewarding all the people who helped fight Ravana, right? So when it came to Hanuman, Rama didn't give any gift. So everybody was perplexed, because everyone there knew that Hanuman is Ram's main like and devotee, right? So then, because they insisted, Rama said, I can't give him any gift. So Mother Sita said, I will give him. So she took out her pearl necklace and she gave it. And Hanuman the Great, instead of valuing it, he started biting it. So they say, why is he biting it? Then there's some say, what else can you expect from a monkey? But what he was doing was trying to find out whether those pearls in any way help him to go to Rama. So he did this. Are they chanting the name of Rama? I'll break them and see. And when he found that in no way they are giving anything about Rama, he just threw them away. So then everybody was upset. How can you throw Mother Sita's gift away? And that's the point at which Sri Ram explains that is why I didn't give him any gift, because he only values me. Okay, moving on, covering syllabus. So that's opportunity we had. Swami had just received this new car, and the few of us, Bhimeshwar Sharma, Kumar, myself, Dr. Bhatia, and Sundar again is behind, Sundar Iyer. So Swami, what happened is he was seeing us off. See, when we would go to Brindavan, see, it's a family, right? And of course, you have to make it into that family. You have to survive all the challenges to get a little bit closer to Swami, right? With his grace, when we went this trip to Brindavan, Swami called us in and he said, no, now you all go. It's getting late, because it's a 3.5, 4-hour drive back from Brindavan to Parthi. And all of you are working tomorrow and all that. Go. So he gave us Vibhuti Prasadam packets and he gave us Namaskar. Then we were leaving. And then he said, no, I forgot something important. And he told Radhakrishna, who was his driver at that time, go bring the car. So we didn't know anything about that. And Radhakrishna came to Swami and started whispering something. And apparently what he was telling Swami is that, Swami, it's too late. They will not be able to appreciate the car. Swami said, you don't worry, you bring the car. So he drove the car out, and you can see that it is twilight, right? But Swami really wanted us. So that is see, one thing is his teachings, his life, his message. But the other thing that we got to see, right, is the personality of God. Right? This God, when he comes down in the human form, he takes certain qualities. He takes he just manifests certain attributes, right? And that is what we got to taste and see. And it's not only me. There's Guna, there's Balaji, there's so many other people there. I know there's so many other students here as well. And to varying degrees, we got to see that. And what happened is when he was taking us around the car, uh, I don't remember who, but one of us, I think Dr. Bhatia, he stumbled a little bit. And you know what Swami did? Swami said, hey, be careful, हमारे कार को scratch लगता है. I'm not exaggerating this. I'm not exaggerating. This is the big memory associated with this. Sambalo हमारे, Swami is not saying you take care, you will get, हमारे car, he loved the car so much. Okay, this is a very personal picture. My father is no more, but he had an early heart attack at the age of 56. And in those days, Swami was not talking with me much except in groups. So, see, that is the journey we had with Swami. Everything came at the right time. From the get-go, we wanted to be sitting in Swami's residence, right? But Swami has a plan. If he gives you everything in day 1, what is he going to give you on day 2? What are you going to get on day 3? Right? So he gradually took me there. And when I was very worried about my father. I just held a letter and Swami said, so that is how he intervened. He was ignoring me royally. I was getting ignored a lot by Swami. Many people were telling, hey Ravi, you've been here so many years. Boys who came later have gone to Kodaikanal. You have never gone to Kodaikanal and all. He said, yeah, it's okay. I am here to be with Swami. But at this juncture, sometimes I think my luck changed. Because when I told Swami, my father had a heart attack. He said, you call him. I will see him. I'll take care of him. So my father came and then he took us into the interview room. And he told my father in the private interview room, take your shirt off. And he materialized Vibhuti, rubbed the Vibhuti nicely on his chest and told him, you have nothing to worry. And from that time in 88, till he passed away 2 years back, he was in really good health. He visited me here in the US so many times. He lived a full life. But more important, right? See, that's about his physical health. More important, he became very attached to Swami. Very attached. He was full time into Swami. All the time, Swami, Swami, Swami. And that's where I see that it's not only Sai students who can learn how to become so attached to Swami. A person like my dad, if you remember, when I showed you the black and white pictures and I said, Lekin Swami, mere father ko devotion nahi hai, right? That was my judgment of my father. But Swami said, nahi hai. Later on, he became the anchor for the family. And again, don't think, because we just tell you the stories in summary. When he came, Swami asked him, are you willing to leave your job and come? He said, yes, Swami. So at 58, he took early retirement and came. And Swami, when I went up to Swami and told Swami, Swami, my parents have left everything and come. He said, why? I said, what? You see, you can't tell Swami, Swami, you told, right? So he went through so many procedures, so many changes in his company, etc., to make that early move out of the company. And they came bringing one car and all the luggage, and Swami had given us a room. And then Swami is asking like that, why did they come? And then see, whatever you want to call it, whether it's a test, whether it is, but eventually then Swami gave us an interview after a few days. And then that's the picture in this interview when my father has left Mumbai and come. And then, see, that's another thing. He tells him, you want to work here? हम job देता है. I will give you job. 3 दिन में job देता है. And that 3 days became 3 years. 3 years my dad took the hit, sat in the darshan. We tried to ask Swami many times. Swami would just make some excuse. But that is a testing period. Don't think that you can get Sai Baba so easily, right? Yes. So we have this way, right? Oh, I did so much for Swami. I gave up my job early. So when Swami asked me, can you come? I said yes. Now I have come. Swami says 3 days, 3 years. That's how he likes you too. So who should you submit to? Right? Think about it. In our life, we are given the mandate or the order to submit to many people. Right? But when it comes to submitting to Swami, it is a very sacred duty of a devotee. We all say bhakti and all that. But do we really have that sort of bhakti? Do we have it in us? To say, no, I will stick it out with Swami. And I am very happy for my father that he stuck it out. And after that, Swami gave him a very beautiful job. He was the first chairman of the Bhakta Sahayak Sangh. That is a very important body in Parthi. And the Bhakta Sahayak Sangh chairman has responsibility for all the canteens, Sai Gita, Swami's fields. There, Swami had some fields outside, and the massive stores where they sell things, plus other things. So, due to his patience and his ability to mimic students, so this is how students lived with Swami. Swami would often tell, I'll give you a job tomorrow, then 1 year would pass, then he would say, I'll give you a job after 2 years, then 7 years. There's one student, Srinivaslu, who waited like this 7 years. Today, he is the editor of the Telugu Sanatan Sarthi. He's a great singer. So now, if you examine this from the worldly point of view, you will say, why did he waste 7 years? He would have made some contribution to some company. If you think of it spirituality, in a spiritual way, Srinivaslu, who waited 7 years, really conquered himself. Right? Imagine what it must have taken for a student. He had finished his masters in physics. And he quietly waited. 7 full years passed before Swami gave him a job. So, I am happy and grateful that my father was able to do little bit of what students do. And he got the reward. He got more than the reward. Yes, Swami's blessings, Swami's grace all through. And then my mother and sister are with me right now in Raleigh. So just their pictures also. Okay, just some fun things because, too much serious talk of Sambhashana and then all these personal things. Just 4 or 5 nice things. I'll read them out to you. So, one student went up to Swami and said, Swami, I got a dream. So I called my parents because in the dream you told me that you will give us an interview. So Swami, without batting an eyelid, said, de sakta hai, dream wale Baba ko jaake bolo. Go and tell the Baba in the dream to give you the interview. Right? Swami is like super quick. He didn't, de sakta hai, dream wale Baba ko bolo. So then Swami, and this is again a very big thing which we don't have time to cover, right? All students know this. Swami liked it that we communicated with him in the form of letters. He liked it. Again, you have to be very smart to make the right interpretation. It's not that Sai Baba was waiting to take your letters and was happy that you were writing. He wanted you to develop many different channels of communication. Knowing that your life is going to happen in many different ways, this letter writing to Swami became a very sweet way of communicating our bhakti to Swami. So most of our letters were so-called love letters to Swami, right? Swami, please give us a chance to be with you, be close to you, and all that and all that. So he told me in Kodaikanal, hey Mari, thoda short letters likho, write little bit shorter letters. Summarize kar sakta hai. You can summarize it. Then when I finished my MBA, he said, now MBA ho gaya, means MBA is done. Are you going to Bombay? Go to Marine Drive. So Marine Drive is a famous posh area in Bombay. But see the way he played on words. Marine Drive jao, go to Marine Drive. But don't do marriage drive. You got it? Okay. So so Vivekanand said, you can't teach spirituality on an empty stomach, right? But in this case, we had an overfull stomach. So you can't teach spirituality on an overfull stomach too. So anyway, so then those were some of the fun things, and there are 200 more, right? But once somebody asked me a question amongst you, see how Swami taught. There was a mechanism. He simplified everything. In the discourses, he would teach the high philosophy. When he came out of the interview room, that was our time. That's me time for students. He would come, he would be perspiring like crazy. There was no air conditioner in the interview room. Packed with big, huge Westerners or double the number of Indians, right, in the interview room. Then he would come out, his back would be wet. And Swami used to not wear a banyan. You know that, right? There was no inner garment. There was a gown and then the dhoti. So the back would be wet and stuck, the gown would be stuck to his back. So one of the beautiful things the students would do is, the fan that was kept, there was a table fan, pedestal fan, inside the bhajan hall. So the interview room door is like this, and the bhajan hall door is like this. They are adjacent, they are touching. So you would come out of the interview room, make all the people see them off, and then he would step into the bhajan hall. And in the bhajan hall, whoever student was lucky, he would take that pedestal fan and aim it at Swami like that. You getting the idea? The nods are very sheepish. So, yeah. There is a fixed pedestal stand for Swami during the bhajan, right? When he was perspiring like that, he would step into the bhajan hall and they would shut the door, one half of the door. And then that lucky student that day would just aim the big fan on Swami's back. So Swami would dry his back. Then when he was done with that, he would step out, and we were about 300 students sitting there. We had already fought and somehow got in front and all that. And then he would start teaching. He would say very abstract spiritual truths in simple language. So simple that you would just totally miss it. So I already told you one or two, right? You are all frogs in the well, he would tell us. You don't have value for me. These devotees come from far. They are like bees seeking the honey, and they know that the honey is here. The other thing he would say is, you are all interested in this. THIS, this. We couldn't follow what is Swami saying. He said, I am interested in that. So, for me, all through these years, this, which is temporal, physical, environmental, family, worldly, is this. And then there is that. That is what we were talking about in the morning, and you don't want to get me started on that, right? But this and that, that's a very beautiful thing. See now, we are doing study circle. We are doing Balvikas. We are angry with our children because they don't want to continue with the Sai system. Whose fault is it? It is our fault. Look at this great avatar who did so many big things. This is how he was communicating subtle Vedantic truths. This, that. So we have a lot of things to learn from him and bring it out in our own interactions. Just some other things. See, whenever I used to go for vacation, this is all Swami just pretending to show anxiety, right? He is the guru. But if I would ever say I am going to Mumbai, he would get very worried. He would say, do you need to go? Say, Swami, I've not been home for so many years. Okay, go and come, he would say. So one day in 2003, my first vacation, I joined Parthi in 82. From 82 to 2003, I never took a vacation. And finally in 2003, everybody got fed up of me, my parents, sister. Come on, let's take some vacation, man. You don't have guts to ask Swami's permission. So I said, okay, where will we go? We said, okay, we'll go close by. So we can go 8-10 hours car and drive back. So we went to Coorg. But before going to Coorg, we booked the bungalow, that house and everything there. But there was no opportunity to ask Swami. So they said, are you coming or not? We have to cancel the whole trip if you're not coming. I said, I don't know. I'll go and ask Swami. So I had access to Swami. So I went inside Trai Brindavan, just stood there. Swami said, what happened? You came from Puttaparthi. So my heart sank, thinking that, oh my God, then if he thinks that I should not be here, right, then how am I going to ask for vacation? Then I just gave the letter. He opened the letter. See, letters help in that way, right? You can, even if you are with him, Swami, just read my letter, it's easier. I'm too panic-stricken to explain to you, right? So he read the letter and he said, oh, you want to go on vacation? Bombay jata hai? Bombay ja sakta hai? He's like so worried. And see, now I'm saying it as a joke, right? But what was the avatar seeing? Why would the avatar spend so much time worrying about me going to Bombay, right? So go to think. So these are just indications. Swami is not going to give, and that was his habit. He never gave full explanations and all, nor could you ask them. But when I told him, no, Swami, my relatives have come from Mumbai, but I'm going to Coorg. He was like king. Go anywhere. And then after that, when he gave me namaskar, that is the sentence that he told me. Ekkadaina poira means go anywhere and come. The way I took it, brothers and sisters, is this is a game. This is a fun interaction, right? First he showed anxiety, but then he gave me his deep courage message. You may go wherever you want, but you and me are bound. You have selected me, I have selected you. So, Ekkadaina poira. I often remember that. It gives me so much comfort that, I am Swami's. Swami is mine. These are some things which parent, this and that. And this one is very good. See, Swami often said, and this is sad too. All of you know, Swami loved the students a lot. He invested, I would say 60% of Swami's time was spent with students. And when I read this, I felt very sad. Swami said, students are my property. And then he said, but I am a poor man. Do you know why he said poor man? Anybody? Who is poor? See, there are 2-3 ways in which we have to understand Swami, right? See, Swami had a mission, and the people who were, Swami has said very clearly, when a person comes to me for the first time, I look in his heart. These are not my words. If you have not heard of this, you guys really need to catch up on Sai reading. Swami said, when a person comes to me for the first time, I look in his heart. If I see a small light, I immediately accept him. If I see a very big light, I let them go. If I see total darkness, I do not deal with them anymore. These are not my words. Major disclaimer. This is written in Anyatha Sharanam Nasti. First hand, Swami is told her. What does it mean? All of us have potential. The big light refers to people who are already there, who don't need any spiritual guidance or help. I don't know who those people are. I think there are very few on earth today. But seriously, right, when you think about who are we, Swami used to many times come out on the portico and tell us, many of you are yoga brashtas. Means you were yogis in your past life and you fell off the spiritual path, right? And in any case, many of us whom he accepted probably have a little bit of light within us, which means that there is potential to grow that individual into a major successful aspirant. Let me put it that way. And he said, those whom I find darkness within, I don't deal any more with them. Which means, the way I interpret it is that there is no potential for them to immediately in this lifetime awaken or arise. Not that every human being has potential. And Swami is the one who was positive about everything. But I think this is to do. So anyway, so coming back to this, right? So Swami said, students are my property. And then he said, not all property is the same. Go to think of it, right? That's also common sense. North Arizona University property versus that thing where I took a lot of pictures of the cactuses on the road, right? There's nothing happening there. The real estate value of that land is nothing. You have to pay people to come and do anything there, right? So real estate, so Swami's property are students, but each student, so that is where Swami is telling us all that don't take things for granted and become complacent. Just by the fact that you became Swami's student doesn't mean you have achieved it. In fact, I'll tell you this, I was shocked when I read this. And I saw Dr. John Hislop. Dr. John Hislop has come to our college, spoken in our prayer sessions so many times. So when he has written this, I value it. He said, Swami, don't I have a place in your plane? You can read this. It's all there in conversations. And it's a big conversation. And Swami says, he asked Swami, where is the avataric journey right now? He said, the plane is taxiing, Swami says. And then he makes bold to say, Swami, do I have a seat on your plane? And he said, only few people can come. And so he puts Hislop in that. Am I there or am I not there? And you know what Swami had said about John Hislop? He openly said, he never said this about anybody. He said, you are a person who could run an ashram on your own. You have so much spiritual capability. So he made even Dr. John Hislop nervous about whether he had a seat on his plane. And then he told him finally, no, I have given you a ticket. So obviously Dr. John Hislop made it. And you just read Seeking Divinity, you will understand for yourself where this man was, right? That positivity. There's the preface of the book says, Swami is my greatest hero and I don't know what I would do without him. And obviously I know that he's also divine. So that's the Western way of saying, right? First he talks about the hero and then he says that he's divine. But he was a great sadhaka. When he heard about Swami, his wife had a major accident and I think it was in Mexico or somewhere, and then her leg was like pretty badly twisted. And when they came back to the US, the doctor said, oh my God, this is gone. This can never be fixed. The the caste has been applied totally wrongly. And at that point, they hear about Swami, and he says they were following Jiddu Krishnamurti in Europe. And then, he was also with Mahesh Yogi in Transcendental Meditation. He was the vice president in the Ramakrishna Mission. He was doing deep meditation. And when he goes to Swami first time, you should read that encounter. It's not about words and miracles and all, but it really warms your heart. He said all the men were put together in one small room in East Prashanti, and Swami comes there. And you know what Swami is doing? Swami is ignoring them. They're like 10 white men, and Swami is just pacing up and down, walking up and down. Who can predict what Swami will do, right? And he says, John Islop says, in this dry Western heart, watching this small black man pace up and down, I could feel the first flutterings of the wings of the butterfly of love. I said, oh my God, look at that. So everything is not Lingodbhav and Vibhuti Abhishek and all that, right? These beautiful things show you the personality of the avatar and how he was received. So anyway, concluding on that point, not all property is same. Swami said, I'm a poor man. I have a lot of desires. A poor man is one who has a lot of desires. A rich man is one who doesn't have desires, right? You get that, right? So Swami said, I have a lot of desires. I want my students to do a lot of things, which is another way of saying, they have so much potential if only they all manifest that potential. So it made me very sad, because it made me think that, oh my God, we are not able to really satisfy Swami. And that's where I undertook that sadhana. Okay, nice joke Anil Kumar told. So one student narrated this joke. Why do we not have hair on our hands? Check your hands. Okay, so that is confirmed, right? It's like Sambhashana. Don't say I don't have Sambhashana. You have Sambhashana, you have to recognize it. So, okay, any guesses? So, Akbar and Birbal, this was, Akbar and Birbal, right? Birbal was the witty and incredibly smart minister of Akbar. Akbar was a great Indian emperor. So, the other courtiers constantly want to put Birbal down, because whatever they do, Birbal comes out on top, and he's the favorite minister of the emperor. So this question is posed to Birbal, and Birbal has to answer it in a way that doesn't hurt anybody, right? So he said, we don't have hair on our hands because we are clapping for you, Your Majesty, your great, achievements. And he said, those who are jealous of us who are clapping for you, don't have hair because they are wringing their hands in frustration and jealousy. So Anil Kumar sir took this and made a nice joke out of it. So he said, why do we not have, you can read it. Swami doesn't have hair on his hands because Swami is always giving. We don't have hair on our hands because we are always receiving. And why do the devotees not have hair on their hands? Because it was a trap for Anil Kumar sir, that will he say that they are wringing their hands in jealousy. But see what he says. No, devotees are applauding the students having interactions with Swami. Okay, lighter things. Okay, now let me change the topic. And okay, so just to bring my personal experiences and sort of put them in perspective for you, right? And this is, see, don't think about this as my story, then we are all wasting our time. The way I put this together is that in this first set of interactions that I had with Bhagwan, I was a bystander. I was an onlooker. I was sitting on the fence. I had curiosity. And that's what I tried to show you. The same slides that I played to you earlier, I'm playing it back to you now as a trick. This is the time when I was attracted, but I had no attachment to Swami. No way was I attached. With Swami's grace, I grew, but it took so much effort from Swami. So many things he did for me. Personal opportunities. See, that's in the interview room. This is my picture in Kodai, and this is a beautiful memory. After I joined the hospital, he just called me to speak about it. And he often, whenever I used to try to narrate miracles and instances, poor Swami, he would bear it for a couple of minutes, and then silently he would say, Chal, chal, bro, hospital gurinchi cheppu. Now enough, tell them about the hospital. So I learned that he wants me to explain what's going on there to the devotees. But so this way I became deeply attached. But what was missing? Commitment. Was attached. What is attachment? You like something, you benefit from it. But I was not committed. I was not committed. After my MSc, Swami told me to join MBA. Up until that point, I thought I'll dedicate my life to Swami. During MBA, different ideas started to take root. So when Swami told me, two of us, myself and a student called Bharat Dutt, Swami said, both of you go to the US and get trained and then be my first employees in the new hospital. So when he announced in 1991, in the birthday time, he said, I will start a hospital and next year, same time, same place, I will announce the completion of the first few surgeries and all that. So what happened is nobody believed it. Even insiders didn't believe it. Nobody believed it. And you can't blame them. It was hard to believe. Puttaparthi, where there was no power, no water, where are you going to get nurses at that level? And even in the later years when there were strikes, truck strikes and other things, we had a horrible time transporting oxygen cylinders from Bangalore city. So in that context, nobody actually thought that Swami is serious about building a super specialty hospital. And at that time, Swami was telling me, are you willing to join the hospital? And so it was like a double whammy, right? This hospital itself is not going to come up, and Swami is asking me to commit to join the hospital. And that was where I realized my own weakness, that up until that point I was very committed. But now that I was doing my MBA, I was starting to think that I should go in the outer world and become a manager and all that. And then Swami, of course, guided me. And I left it to Swami, and Swami said, Hamara agya hai. Join the hospital, it's good for you, good for your parents, and good for the country. These are his words. So then I just, dived in wholeheartedly. But I wanted to, and I don't have time to tell you the full story in detail, right? But this is what I want to tell you. We all start by attraction. Oh, nice to know something good going on. And then, as you get deeply connected, you start to realize that you're attached but not committed. And the reason I'm playing with these words is for all of you to ask yourself that question. This is nothing to do with me. My life is laid out there for you to see. You have to each one ask yourself that question. Are you just inquisitive or nice to know basis? Or have you got to the point where you are attached? And finally, once I made the choice and wholeheartedly I went into serving Swami in the hospital. Not that the commitment is ever over, but that was phase one of my commitment. At least I put my worldly desires, I made them take a secondary place for some time. And can I say that I was victorious forever? No. But I did it for 14 years. I served wholeheartedly. I got to see firsthand what Swami was actually doing there, how he was addressing and attending to the poorest of the poor, probably in the world, the poorest in the world. And if even if I didn't have the money to contribute to it, at least I had the time and my by personal dint of effort, I could contribute to the Swami's mission, because clinical perfusionists were a very rare commodity. So when Swami got me trained in clinical perfusion, I was able to contribute and we could hold the fort ready. We were able to get cardiac surgeons, but clinical perfusionists were not available. And I was able to play that role, and there were others as well. So some contribution we made to Swami's work and mission, and those are just some pictures. Swami, in that lovely picture, used to sit on a golf cart, and 2-3 of our students had the opportunity. But in this case, I didn't have time to change. It was my turn to drive the cart. So Swami would travel the hospital, huge corridors, and I just came down in my scrubs. And there you can see Swami coming to our operation theatre. Many stories are there about miracles in the operation theatre, Swami warning us, take care of this and that, and those things would happen. And then there's a joke about this picture on the top. Can you guess what is the joke? Nearly. Okay, so you can see the way my hair are plastered. Can you on the top? Swami asked me, what is the secret of your hair? What do you put? I also want to know that. So it is just people think it's a very serious conversation. Actually, it's a fun. Swami used to just joke like that. In many of these pictures, not in this one, but you'll see us smiling. This is a common thing. And Swami says, today is marriage day. Are you getting married soon? So that's how he would sort of, So that is a common banter that would go on. Okay. So I covered a little bit about the hospital. I want to tell you one last story about the hospital. As you can see, I'm running out of time. So one day, all true stories, no making up, no exaggeration. Dr. Neelam Desai, she's still there. She called me. I had learned to read and write Telugu, and so they would use me also to translate sometimes. So these were patients whom the cardiologist had reviewed. They would send these patients up to our conference room where the cardiac surgeon is seated, and Dr. Neelam would go there and then talk to them. And she's Gujarati, so she's awesome, but she couldn't learn a word of Telugu in all these decades. And I don't blame her. But by the way, I am Sindhi and I learned to read and write. And even Swami could not believe that. So I was seated at Swami's feet inside Swami's residence. And I was reading Swami's newspaper every day. After Swami would retire, Swami's Telugu newspaper would be there. So to practice Telugu, I would take it and read. Newspapers are very tough to read. And then all the books would be sent to Swami too, right? So the Telugu books would come to Swami, the Telugu Sanatan Sarthi would come to Swami. So my colleague Srinivas, who was also, he used to sleep in Swami's room. I used to sleep downstairs. So he tried to prank and put me in trouble a little bit. And he told Swami was reading the Telugu Sanatan Sarthi. This guy said it's a good opportunity to sink Ravi. So he said, Swami, do you know that Ravi also can read Telugu? I said, oh my God, this is tough, right? Because it's not my native language. Yeah, I learnt it, but so Swami said, oh really? I didn't know that. And he threw the Sanatan Sarthi at me. He said, Chadu, read it. Now you can do so many things, but can you do them in front of Swami? So fortunately, I was able to read few lines, and Swami was very happy. And then, of course, I kept that Sanatan Sarthi as a gift. But what was I trying to tell you? Dr. Neelam. This is a very poignant story. So, because of all this Telugu knowledge, she called me to translate. It's nothing to do with Swami. This is not Swami's story. There was a tall man from West Godavari, very tall, in dhoti and tattered clothes. And he had one sling bag like thing on his shoulder. And then there was a little girl. She must have been 12, 13. She had what is called severe MS. MS is mitral stenosis, and severe MR, mitral regurgitation. That combination is deadly because it means the valve is, if it is only MS, you can open the valve because it's stenotic, it's closed. You can cut it open. But she also already had a lot of regurgitation, meaning even if you repair it, it will just be a mess. And her lungs were getting badly damaged. So that condition is called PAH, or pulmonary artery hypertension, because when the valve controls the flow between the left atrium and the left ventricle, and excessive blood is going to the lungs therefore. So she was dying, in other words. Young girl, 12 years old. So Dr. Neelam asked me to translate to this man. Are you ready for the surgery for this girl? He said, I have heard that there is some other expenses also. You will not do everything free. Because you imagine the cost of that surgery was about the minimum $10,000 to $12,000. Right there for the surgery itself. Not post-op and blood and all. So she started to explain to him that after valve replacement, you need to take anticoagulants lifelong. And so he asked me to ask her, how much would that cost? So I asked Dr. Neelam, say 400 rupees a month. So he asked me again, okay, 400 rupees a month, but how long? I said, lifelong. So then he said, I don't think I can do this because I have a son. And that son is very important to run my farm, to cultivate my farm. And then he told me, I said, can you stay and think about the decision? He said, what stay? My life's belongings are in this bag. This is life's belongings. Are you following? So that is the extent of poverty that he was facing. And then the reason I'm telling you this is, see, the spiritual man has to be sensitive. If you are becoming spiritual and not sensitive, that is not spirituality. That is not spirituality. You know how Swami built the hospital? He said in a discourse, I saw in a Times of India cutting that the mother discovered that her 3 children have valve problems and she committed suicide in some village, and those children also died And I want to address this. See, there are big corporate houses in India. Reliance, Birla, so many big corporate houses are there. How is it that nobody felt like this? It is not Swami's duty. Swami was a spiritual guru. He was giving darshan and bhajan and Veda, and he ran a college. He went far beyond the dictates of his duty to do this for India. And I'll close this with this thing. I just turned around and looked at that 12-year-old. You know, she had started weeping when her father said this. No, I can't do for her because I have sons whom I need to look after. That is the story. And after we heard about this matter, right, we, through our chief financial officer, sent word to Swami that Swami, these sort of cases, 400 rupees, how much is that in dollars? $5. $5. 12-year-old girl, her father is making a choice not to go ahead. It's not the cost of the surgery. $12,000 to $15,000 Swami is giving. 400 rupees a month for the rest of her life. He chose no. Of course, on the positive side, we did do that surgery, because when we sent word to Swami, Swami said, what? 400 rupees, you guys can't, each injection is counting thousands of rupees. Why you should think like that? And till today, the Satya Sai hospital, because if you stop anticoagulant, and we were receiving a lot of reports that the villagers, they had a good valve in them, but they were stopping anticoagulants, and then they had stuck valves. They were dying. So after this, till today, the hospital continues shipping anticoagulants to the villagers, because you can't give them money, right? Hospital is not set up to give the villagers money, but they ship them free anticoagulants when they write and say that I need them. So brothers and sisters, sensitivity, think about the compassion. This is not a man in a photo. Snap out of that. Satya Sai Baba is not a man in a photo. He has a personality. He took action. That's why we all worshipped him. He was the hero of our lives. We dumped everything. Our parents, I didn't know, I didn't go back to Bombay. I thought I'll become a doctor. In my first year after joining Swami's college, I threw my medical entrance books. I never looked back. It is no sacrifices enough if you can get a chance to be close to this type of being. And this is not a being that you and I can describe and compare with other masters and all. This being opened himself up for observation. He invited you to come, live with him. I stayed there for 23 years. I lived in Swami's residence. My faith, my love, my respect, my reverence for Swami only grew and grew and grew. It is my own desire to, to go commercial and get married and other things that was the cause of my own weakness in leaving Swami. But from the time in 1979 when I saw him, spoke in front of him till today, my love and reverence for him has only been on the rise. And my inner journey is also being guided and led by him only. So don't get the impression that Ravi is talking about Gyan Marg and Sambhashana and Prajna. Yes, I am. But the inner journey is to find Sai within. Now the Sai within obviously is not going to have orange robe and hair and mole on the left cheek, right? That is not what we are expecting to find within. And it is that understanding that is making me share that whole thing with you about the mind and the buddhi and the atma, right? So we started by talking about mind on Baba always. So initially, even before the MBA course, there was Madhur Bhakti Association, right? It was a way of sort of teasing students who were very serious about Swami. When the MBA program started, it became Mind on Baba always. And later on, Swami said, no, 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 no. That is not the highest stage. Because Mind on Baba always is all about the mind. And Swami said, MBA stands for Mind, Buddhi, Atma. And so you can see, right, that favorite word of Swami, Atma, had to come in. Okay, so I will close. I know we are a little bit over time with this beautiful letter. You probably can't read it, but when you think about what I wrote, right? Attracted but not attached, attached but not committed, and finally committed, right? Where is that analysis coming from? It's coming from this letter which Bhagwan wrote in 1973. See how he is posing the question to us. My dear, have you got any spiritual hunger? He's directly posing the question to us. Are we manifesting that spiritual hunger through the activities that we are doing? Spiritual hunger is the ultimate meaning of every activity in life. The dissatisfaction and the restlessness that remains even after obtaining all the necessities of life show that everyone, consciously or unconsciously, does suffer from spiritual hunger. Even if you're a worldly person, you're constantly dissatisfied. You amassed $100 billion. There is Elon Musk, there's Jeff Bezos, there's so many people. Swami says each one, whether he's achieved or not achieved, has this dissatisfaction or restlessness within. And it is not appeased until the spirit within is realized. Without this divine discontent, there is no real progress. So we should have this mental satisfaction that we are getting. Oh, I attended the bhajan. Oh, I helped with altar decoration. Oh, I helped with the retreat preparation. Great, great. But don't let that make you satisfied to the extent that you don't search within. The inner journey is very important and far more important than what you're doing in the outside. Without this discontent, there is no real progress. World peace is possible when all the people of the world wake up to the facts governing universal life, and there is a heart-to-heart feeling of goodness, love, and oneness among the inhabitants of the world. Who can write like that? Swami studied is a 7th grade dropout from a tiny unknown village. Look at the writing, look at the depth of the thought. So, I want to leave you. I know I have brought out a lot of things today, and I thank you for sort of bearing with me. I went on and on. And the 3 things that I would want to conclude with is that students got to see the personality of Sai. And it is not to separate students from devotees. That is how Swami ordained it. So the personality of Sai comes out through all these conversations, these tidbits, these jokes, this what irritates Swami and what doesn't. The second is the fact that his mission was not about physical things, even though that is how we may have taken it for many decades. Krishna tells Arjuna in the middle of the battle, all of your problems are due to your misidentification with the body. And I believe that that was Swami's mission too, though he didn't want to beat us up because we were not at that time ready to understand this deep philosophical message about identifying with the body. And the third thing is that when I meet you all in 3 or 4 years, I will ask you to tell me what is the answer you have to Manasika Sambhashana. Okay? Sai Ram. Jai Sai Ram.